Steel Wool has had a quite controversial history with their antagonists, with Vanny being a huge part of Security Breach's marketing but actually only playing a small part in the game, and with a lot of people being upset about Afton being the villain yet again, though that was before, you know, we knew the secret of the Mimic. Anyway, recently I came across a sentiment online over Jackie, one of the antagonists in Secret of the Mimic. Some people believe that Jackie was underutilized in the game, and in this video I am going to explore this topic and compare her to Vanny. A quick recap. Jackie was commonly featured in marketing of the game. Also, she's on the cover. No way you didn't see her. Also important to note, there wasn't a lot of marketing and hype for this game because, like, Markiplier, for example, the Fnaf man himself didn't know the game was coming out until like 3 days before release. It got a lot less trailers and teasers than like Security Breach. I can't believe it! Gex is in the new Fnaf! One of the reasons people believe Jackie didn't play a big enough role in the game is due to her having only one chase scene. Meanwhile, other characters such as Dolly and Big Top got a lot more time to shine in the spotlight, despite Jackie's heavy presence in marketing of the game. Okay, side note, I don't care what anyone says, this is Uncle Music Man. I'm not calling him Big Top. That name has multiple meanings, and I sure hope it refers to his top hat. I think that this point has merit. Let's think about what content each of these three got in the game. Jackie got a small introduction and a chase sequence where she brutally decimates a talking paper shredder. Uncle Music Man got this gameplay section where you had to stay out of his sight, meanwhile surrounded by little talking marshmallows. Also having to solve this Bioshock pipe puzzle, meanwhile he slowly crawls toward you. After this, he has his own chase sequence where he tries to crush you with his feet. Yeah, I'm really starting to dislike this name. At the end, Music Man takes a bad fall and dies, until he comes back near the end of the game, where he appears and crawls down towards you, meanwhile you try to activate the elevator. As for Dolly, she was eating good. She got a massive chunk of the game, with you ending up in her recycling center, where you need to avoid her meanwhile she zooms past on these tracks. Then sections where you need to collect and recycle trash, meanwhile you bait and hide from her. And a chase sequence where you push her into this pea lava. But then turns out she survived, triggering a second chase sequence which ends up with you having to repair the elevator, meanwhile she is banging trying to get in. Those were cliff notes of what happened, but believe me, Dolly takes up quite a large part of the game. Maybe a little too much. I'm not gonna lie, some of her sections felt a little dragged out. I think some fat could have been trimmed out, so it's a better experience. And that extra time could have been given to Jackie to flesh her out more, for example. As for other antagonists like Chica and White Tiger, I'm not gonna consider them in this discussion. They played a minimal, if not absolutely no part in the marketing. They were purposely left out so people had something to find on their own. However, these three were commonly featured in the trailers. And yeah, it worked. I was really hyped when I saw Chica. So, Jackie was underutilized. Despite being a cool new original character, she didn't get enough time to cook in the oven. Well, not exactly. I agree that Jackie got less screen time compared to these other two, especially because Jackie got more attention during marketing. The point people have is that just compared to other heavily marketed characters like these two, Jackie got shafted in terms of screen time. However, I also see people comparing Jackie to Vanny, talking about how Jackie got the Vanny treatment from Steel Wool. Was Jackie really as underutilized in Secret of the Mimic as Vanny was in Security Breach? Well, I think that to compare the two, we must first take a look at Vanny and how she was introduced and hyped up. If you're enjoying the video, I would appreciate a like and subscribe. It would help me out. Thank you. Vanny's story began before Security Breach, actually. When the Curse of Dreadbear DLC came out for Help Wanted, it added some sections that I still refuse to play in VR and marked the return of the fucking plush babies. However, it also featured a labyrinth level where you had to search for keys meanwhile hiding from Grim Foxy. by far the best Jacko animatronic. To beat the level, you simply need to collect a key and then dip. However, if you collect all 4, a 5th one will appear. Collect that one and head to the middle of the map. The cellar will open, and as the prize for the minigame, you will earn this bunny mask. Despite it looking ominous, it doesn't do much. Until you bring it to this glitch trap plush, then this conversation is played.
Yes, I hear you. I know. No. There's no miscommunication. I understand. Yes, I have it. I made it myself. I think you would like it. No one suspects anything. Don't worry. I'll be ready. And I won't let you down. It will be fun.
This was absolutely massive. The introduction of this brand new character, the next antagonist in the franchise, it was huge and naturally made people super hyped for what Fnaf had in store next. Lo and behold, we started getting teasers for Fnaf Security Breach. Vanny and Vanessa got their own teasers, and when the reveal trailer dropped, Vanny was prevalent with her talking to us and us seeing her jump scare. It was almost as good as a white woman jump scare. Almost. The gameplay trailer focused even more on Vanny. It began with a close-up of her mask and had a bunch of appearances in the trailer. There was this voice too that hints at a second antagonist.
Do as I say! You will bring me what I want!
However, this voice was so goofy, like people to this day don't know what it is. Is it Burntrap? Does he really sound like that? People's expectations were still set for Vanny to be the main villain. She also was featured as a large part of the background in the cover, which goes extremely hard. Then the game released, and you see Vanessa for a bit, then she catches you, then you have a small chase sequence with her, which is kinda cool I guess, but it's really short, and that's it. You have some minor appearances from Vanessa. There was her room, and there is an ending with her, like the Vanny ending, but she doesn't even appear there. Like, she doesn't appear in the gameplay portions of that. Yeah, people were left wanting a lot more out of Vanny. It turns out William is still alive, and he is the true villain still. People weren't really happy nor satisfied with this, and I was on the same boat. People were hyped for Vanny, a new villain for the franchise, and were disappointed we got the same old Afton, the same fucking burnt man. Of course, now we know this isn't the case, but we didn't know that at the time. But back to Jackie. Vanny and Jackie are not alike. Not at all, actually. When we look at FNAF Security Breach Ruin, we explore the now ruined Pizzaplex as Cassie in order to save Gregory. However, what we end up finding is the Mimic, who proceeds to hunt us down. Also, I think that the Mimic was first introduced in the books, so turns out Afton died, after all. And the Mimic is the next thing in store for FNAF antagonists, due to the Mimic already having played such a large part in Security Breach and now being featured in the DLC. Just like with Vanny, we started speculating that the Mimic would be the next big bad of the franchise. The Ruin DLC hyped up the next major antagonist, unlike, well, with Security Breach where we got blue-balled by Vanny. And one more important thing to note, the Mimic mimics things. We already saw him mimic Gregory and use one of his costumes in Ruin, so we know he can mimic stuff. That's his entire point, he has these different costumes. So when FNAF Secret of the Mimic was announced, we knew that this Jackie was actually the Mimic. I feel like that's the main difference between Jackie and Vanny. In Secret of the Mimic, we knew that the major antagonist would be the Mimic, and Jackie was just a Mimic costume. We knew Jackie wasn't going to be the next big villain. Steelwool didn't give us that impression, unlike with Vanny. So people expected Jackie to just play a small role in the game. So I feel like the main differences were the expectations we have placed upon these two characters. But why wasn't the Mimic on the Secret of the Mimic game cover? Look at him! I think having Jackie is much more cooler. It's a much more interesting and engaging design. And just creepier, I feel like it fits more. I'd also like to highlight the hype period for this game. Before the game released, half the fanbase was complaining about the game looking like puppy playtime, and the other half was complaining about people complaining. Whole fanbase was just really divided. It was a bad time for people with opinions. It feels like there was a lot of negative energy around the game even before it released. I think that writing the game off before even playing it just because it looks different from the previous games is dumb, but it's also dumb to call people fake fans for not enjoying the new stuff or trying to compare it to something else. So personally, I don't think that Jackie got the Vanny treatment. Both characters were sat with very different expectations. Jackie wasn't marketed as a major antagonist. So with that said, are people wrong for being disappointed with the lack of screen time Jackie got? No, I still don't think so. I think Jackie is a cool character with a really good design, both in the normal form and the I'm going to kill you form. It's more eye-catching than a grey endoskeleton. I think one more section with Jackie could have served her well. But I'd also like to compare her with one more thing. A character from a game I played recently. Resident Evil Village. You could say that this game, like Secret of the Mimic, has segmented antagonists, with each antagonist getting their own part of the game that focuses on them. The first one being Lady Dimitrescu. Please tell me I said that right. Her and her castle section were easily the most marketed in trailers. When you first see her, the thing that probably comes to your mind is her big castle that you explore and try to get out of. Both Jackie and Lady Dimidong are the first antagonists in their respective games. However, no one really complained about her being underutilized. All her screen time was devoted to the beginning of the game, but we spent so much time with her that most were satisfied. Unlike with Jackie, who got a lot less time than others. And yeah, a part of that is definitely because Secret of the Mimic is a much shorter game than Village. But like we saw earlier, Jackie got a lot less screen time relative to Dolly and Music Man. The reason Jackie got so much time in trailers and overall marketing is probably because she's at the beginning. She's the first enemy, really. Of course, trailers are gonna show the first half of the game, not the second half. Or just post free chase sequences on Twitter, I guess. So, with everything in mind, I do think that to an extent, Jackie was underutilized in Secret of the Mimic. When you compare her to other minor antagonists in the game, their screen time is just not divided evenly. And I do understand people who wanted more Jackie, not just a little chase sequence and she just disappears. However, Jackie's also that, a minor antagonist. The focus is still on Edwin and the Mimic and the relationship. Okay, not that kind of relationship. Jackie could have definitely benefited from one more small section. However, in the grand scheme of things, I am satisfied with her inclusion in the game. The main focus is the Mimic after all. But I definitely get people who wanted a little bit more Jackie. But what do you think? Are you satisfied with Jackie in the game, or do you think the game should have done more with her? I'd love to hear your thoughts because I think this topic is quite interesting. And I think that Steel Wool improved in how they hype up and set expectations. And I am not just a Steel Wool Knight. I acknowledge the good that Steel Wool has done, and I acknowledge the bad they have done. I think it's much more complex than just Steel Wool bad, but that's a topic for another video. Thank you for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you and bye bye.